Hey everyone. So I wanted to talk a little bit today about timelines. I know that in the spiritual community, a lot of people have been talking about timelines, and I know I have as well. So, and I've been getting a lot of downloads about the different timelines as we keep on seeing this being played out in the collective, in reality, and what actually is happening. So we are being mirrored back to us what's actually happening from a collective standpoint so that we can see more clearly what is actually happening with the different levels of vibration that is happening. So each of us vibrates at a different level. And throughout the day, you can vibrate at different levels. You could be brought back down from where you normally are and go back up based on different things. Love is a high vibration, for example. Fear is a low one. So if you get afraid during the day, you can go back down from where you normally would sit. But we all pretty much sit at a certain level of vibration, and that's where our reality is. This is why we're seeing so many different opinions, uh, beliefs being played out, and people believing in something so strongly that someone else does not see at all. And that would be because we're vibrating at different places, so we're getting the consciousness from the energy around us based on where we're vibrating from, and that's where our truths are coming from. So we're trying to alchemize the 3D dense, heavy, lower vibrating energies, and we're having support from the energies from the universe come in to help us alchemize that. But what's happening is we're seeing it all so much more clearly, and so much more in a separation standpoint. So when people are saying we're so divided and we're so separated, it's because all these energies are playing out so strongly on the level that they're at. And it doesn't mean that we can't change that individually, because as this is happening, and as many of you know, there is a awakening that's happening in many people. And it could be, I've talked about this before, where awakening is really just a realization within. So when we speak awakening, it doesn't mean that you get to an end point and you just know it all, because nobody knows it all, right? So our whole lives we continue to have awakenings to different realizations meant for us and what we choose to see. So that being said, it could be very, very important for a person on an individual level to have a realization, but maybe not from a collective level. It wouldn't be like this huge deal. So when somebody's in a relationship and it isn't the right relationship for them, and they don't see it because they have these feelings of love and connectedness to the situation for whatever their personal reasons are, therefore they put a block around themselves because those are the feelings that they want to have, and they keep on pushing for those feelings even if it truly isn't actually a fit. Or, to go to extremes, it could be that they're in a toxic situation. Either they are toxic, the other person, or the entire relationship is just a toxic one. But because they hold on to this ideal and belief that it's the right thing, they'll put on like a tunnel vision. They'll put on the goggles that say, oh no, this is where I'm supposed to be, this is going to work out. And then within the whole situation, they continue to try and push it in the direction that their ideal vision of what it is would be. And that is what a lot of people in the collective are doing right now. They have a certain vision, and they have put in on their goggles, they're in their tunnels, and they only see that vision. And even if the place that they're in, or the steps that they think should happen, would not actually materialize to that vision, it doesn't matter for them right now. They don't see it that way. All they see is it's supposed to be this way. This is what my belief is. It has to work out this way. We can make changes to get there. Not realizing that change only can happen on each person individually. We can only force so much change. So, from a collective perspective, the only way for the whole collective to change is for all of us individually to vibrate on specific levels where we all see the same truth or similar truths, because nobody's truth is actually ever going to be exactly the same. But really, that's what's happening. So when you see somebody who you love tremendously, who you feel connected to, have a totally different vision than you or belief than you right now, and a lot of us are seeing that another person, for example, that we're close to, has been unable to see what you see. And many of us are pushing and pushing and pushing what we see because we want other people to see it. But those people are in that tunnel and will not see it. And it doesn't mean that you're also not in that tunnel as you keep on pushing your belief, because your belief might be within a tunnel as well. It's just that you're at different vibrations. So what your tunnel is pulling from the vibration you're at. And what the other person is from the vibration that they're at. And that's where we connect to the matrix, to the collective consciousness, to the universal energy. And therefore, that's the type of information that is being connected to us. And as we see that, that's what becomes our truth, and that's what becomes clear to us, and that's where we sit at this moment. As each of us has awakenings to different things, we will open up and that tunnel and change that tunnel. We could even just change it and shift from one tunnel to another tunnel and still not be seeing the whole collective picture. So I wanted to put a little awareness to that, because there's so many spiritual and people and light workers, and even people who aren't aware that that's what they are, but are just good-hearted, loving people who only want the best for this world, who are stuck in some really rigid tunnels right now. The reason why it's being so black and white, it's so extreme as far as the differences right now, is because the universe is really trying to get us to wake up to the fact that we're all in tunnels, that we all have our own beliefs and expectations. And it's like, a lot of people use the example of insanity. You keep on doing the same thing over and over again, but expecting a different result. And in our society and in our conditioning, we have been conditioned to believe there is only certain ways to get to an end goal. And some people are holding on so tightly to the fact that that's all they know, so that's how it has to be, without opening up their minds to be like, could there be another way? Could I have been living my life this way and now realize that it's actually not the direction to go in? And that's what's so hard for many people, is that they cannot hold the concept that they could have been wrong for 20, 30, 40, 60, 80 years of their life, that they could have been this long into life and not have had this realization. Therefore, it can't be true, because then it's almost like there's this energy of, I couldn't have been that much of a fool, right? We couldn't all have been so much of fools, could we have? But perhaps we have been, if you really look at it that way. But is it your fault, or humanity's fault, the masses, is it our fault if we have been conditioned to believe generation over generation fear-based narratives that have created a society that we live in where there are only a few directions you can go into, where you can actually be capable of living what is a so-called free life and in comfort, to have the wealth and abundance, to have a home and a car and travel and be able to spend money to do things. That's what we think freedom is. But is it? That's where the society and the collective right now is in a stronghold. is our ego so tight and so, I'm trying to look for the right word, but really is it's so delicate that it couldn't handle the fact that we have in fact been being told lies. And that's the biggest piece here. And I'm not going on one side of any spectrum because there's so much that is happening, and there is so much that's getting pulled up from this dense energy. We are going to have many surprises, and it's not just going to be in the next month or two. It's going to take years. So many people are looking for, let's get back to normal, and it's not going to happen because we are alchemizing this dense energy that's been here for thousands of years, and there is no way, even though it's going so much faster now than it ever had before, there is no way we can just flip a switch and turn all the lights on. So in something that's been so heavy and dark for so long. So and darkness isn't always bad. It's just that it hasn't been revealed, right? So as things start to become revealed, it's also the universe testing us to see how we as humans are able to hold it. So we're receiving a lot of support and a lot of energy right now to be able to change our physical bodies, to be able to hold more light, hold more energy, and to be able to open up, to be able to take some of this dark in so that we can alchemize it into light, so that we can change our realities. And as we vibrate on different levels, we are each changing our realities, but we're never all on the same reality. And we know this because there's the studies that have been done where somebody sees, there's a group of people that sees an assault on the street, and if you take 5 of those people, all 5 will have a different story, but all 5 were standing right there with their 2 eyes seeing what happened. So how does each of the 5 people have a little different story, even if it's slightly different, and some dramatically different, because their perception is based on their reality. Their reality is based on the frequency that they vibrate at. And that is because we are connected to that piece of the collective consciousness. So wherever you're vibrating, you're going to resonate with the piece of consciousness that's vibrating on that level. So when someone's living really low down into a fear-based, fear, shame, judgment-based lifestyle and belief level, then they're connected to that piece of the collective consciousness, and they're getting their truth from that. So when other fear-based narratives are being thrown at them, they're believing those fear-based narratives as truth and becoming really strong, a stronghold. They're creating a stronghold for themselves in that belief, and they cannot see how no one else can see it. Same with a really high level of consciousness, where you could see a very big picture aspect of the energetics that are happening, of the differences in dimensions and the different timelines that are existing because of all these different vibrations. And people who are not connected to that vibration are going to look at you like you're crazy and woohoo, and that you're trying to escape from reality, when you're not escaping from reality. Your reality is just very different than that person on a different vibration. So when we talk timelines, it more or less is the different vibrating consciousnesses and how we're all relating to each other right now. So my timeline is different than someone next to me because we vibrate on different levels, and we walk down the street and we see things differently because my vibration's different. I'm connected to a different consciousness. So when I see a argument, I may respond in a totally different way than my best friend who's walking down the street with me. And somebody could be completely triggered into anger off of someone else having anger. They could just take that consciousness in and own it. Or someone else could sit there and say, oh, how sad is that they are allowing themselves to be in such anger over something when there's different directions you can take, and that's a different vibration. And then someone else will walk past and say, oh, I'm just staying away because that just doesn't look, that doesn't feel right, that doesn't look right, that's their deal, I'm going to keep on walking. So there's an infinite amount of possibilities in every moment, and those infinite amount of possibilities are always based on where your reality is, which you have an infinite amount of possibilities on what your reality can be. So I hope this is making it a little bit more clear on exactly what is happening with the energies, but then also the separation now is just becoming so much more obvious on purpose to help some of us to wake up, to help us to see things from different perspectives. And some of us will stay in that tunnel with those goggles on the entire time. The ones who see it differently, instead of getting, as soon as you get frustrated or angry or upset that a person is stuck in a tunnel, then that's when you start to lower your vibration, because you're going down to meet them and try to fight them on it. It is not our place to change someone individually. They need to see it for themselves. And collectively, there's so much happening that many people are seeing it in different lights right now, whether you know that or not. But that is their choice. That is where our free choice comes from. We can see it or we cannot see it, but that will all be based on our own decisions. So, and each one of us, even if we, of course, whatever level of consciousness you're at, you feel like it's the highest level of consciousness. But to truly be awake, you know that you don't ever know everything and that you still have more to realize, because there's an infinite amount of energy, possibilities in this universe. And until we are back home as a piece of the source, we do not and will never know everything, because we gave that up when we came down here to have a human experience. But our human experience has allowed us to continue to try to reach for that home. And in doing so, we just have a continuous evolution of ourselves in each lifetime to continue to reach closer and closer to home and closer to source. But we forget that we're put in a place where all of that was taken away the second that we came in here, so that we would have to spend our lives trying to remember and realize. And that's what our lives are about. So right now, the energies are supporting us. We're at a place from an earth standpoint, from a humanity standpoint, where we are moving into new vibrations, new frequencies, and therefore new realities. But it feels really messy, because it is. Because there's a lot of people in a lot of different places. And until we have the unity of realizing that we are all unique beings in unique places, and we all have total freedom to choose that, how do we now live together, acknowledging and understanding that we each have different ways of looking at things? How can we now unite and live together and rise together and create a world of peace and harmony? Harmony, balance, that's what this is about. The duality that we live in. It's balancing light with dark. It's balancing feminine and masculine. It's balancing everything. Black, yin and yang, and there's so many different things, but that's what we are down here to do, is to balance everything to the point of actually reaching closer to source energy, which is pure love. Unconditional love, which is very hard for a human to truly understand, because we put conditions first and foremost on ourselves. And as soon as we do that, we lose the unconditional love for ourselves. We are unable to have unconditional love for anything outside of us if we do not first have it internally. So I hope, again, I know I mentioned, I hope this was helpful as far as understanding a little bit of the chaos that's happening, the confusion, the really big realization that we are fighting and separating from each other right now, and that truly we are one, and truly we are just trying to find our place as far as what our realities are, and we're being tested to see how much more energy we can take in and alchemize to a new level, wherever that level may be for us. So I love you as always, and I will see you soon.